I've trained BORTAC agents. I've worked with ICE in different ways and forms. But I've also been harassed like a motherfucker when I crossed that border by some of them, and I've been treated like shit by some of them as well. So I understand where some of that comes from, and all it takes is one dude with an open phone recording something and having a single representative of that institution now being blasted all over Mexican social media, and all of you are the devil now. And
Yeah.
I understand that function that has and how that kind of warps opinions.
Let's talk strategies.
Sure.
Do you really believe there's ever a time where American U.S. soldiers, tier 1 elements, will potentially maybe have some kind of mission in the Mexican territory?
Don't quote me on this because I don't know if I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure that's already happened. I'm pretty sure that that's already happened, at least in my time. I'm pretty sure that happened already. I think what we're talking about now is something that is going to be more overt. I think covert, but overt. I think the assassination of Soleimani in Iraq. I think that is what we're expecting. A high-level cartel head being cut to pieces by a Ginsu knife missile. I mean, that's the level of action I think the U.S. is. The government, the Trump administration probably will maybe do. I could see that. Mexico is not the Middle East. There's a lot of Americans living in Mexico, and I think that's a factor that should be factored into all of the discussion we have as far as implementing the military in Mexico, because you want to talk about hostage taking. That could happen rapidly in a mass and with mass amounts in Mexico, because there's many communities out there of expats living in Mexico. And I'm not trying to fearmonger anybody, but we have to be realistic. If something happens, we just saw the arrest of the second in command at the Northwest, the Cartel de Noroeste group that's right on the border. When something like that happens, buses get burned, their blockades get issued, and government forces of all kinds get targeted. What's going to happen when we see one of those stealth helicopters fly off with the head of the Sinaloa Cartel, head of the New Generation Cartel? I don't know what is going to be their reaction. You know, what is going to be their vengeance?
Yeah.
Who they're going to target? I don't know. It is complex. Maybe nothing will happen. Maybe Trump will issue an order and have one of those Predator drones fly over Michoacan and blow up a cartel party somewhere and just eliminate leadership, and nothing will happen. But it's complex. It's complex, and again, if people are in the mind, Americans are in the mindset that this is happening down there, we don't want this over here. And a couple of months ago, the son-in-law of the New Generation Cartel got arrested in Riverside, California, out of all places. He faked his own death, and he was living comfortably in Riverside, California, in the business. So people are fooling themselves if they think this is an issue that is just on the Mexican side. A common narrative that is being pushed out by the Mexican federal government is this: the U.S. is very excited to come into Mexico to solve its cartel issues and its drug issues, but it does nothing in its own borders. When's the last time you've heard about a major drug kingpin being arrested in the United States? And there's crickets. When's the last time you heard about a major distribution network that goes across the country being dismantled? And I mean, they in a way they have a point. There are issues and parts of this problem that are very much tied to the United States, and people in cartels have been having kids in the United States, and some of these people have never even been to Sinaloa, and they are cartel affiliated, and they live and work and grow in the United States, and they are seemingly untouched. So that is the going narrative that the federal government in Mexico is pushing out. Like, you have your own issues to deal with. Why are you trying to come down here?
I agree. I agree that we're also the ones who create the demand. I have a question. I'm not sure if you could answer this, but someone hit me up with this on one of my inboxes. It says, what's the difference between cartel and gangs? In America, we call them gangs, but some of them are associated with cartel. What is the difference between the two? Or is it just in Mexico, we call them cartels. In America, we call them gangs, and they're synonymous. They do the same thing.
I'd say I'd say the Mexican definition of a cartel. I mean, they govern their territory. They act very much as a shadow government. They police their territory. They have an armed wing. They have their hands in multiple levels of financials as far as like putting the illicit money into like private institutions to basically grow their money. That's not, gangs don't do that type of shit. People want to compare them to the mafia. They're not the mafia. They're very different. The mafia, or the organized crime organizations in the past, the Italian kind, had limitations and stopgaps as far as how they would grow. I mean, they wouldn't let anybody in who was an Italian origin or something like that. Cartels don't have any issues with that. They'll let American citizens join them. The example of La Barbie, the cartel member who was born in Texas, and he was a high level cartel guy. Women have been in charge of organizations. I mean, they're their own thing. I don't see gangs in the U.S. achieve a transnational level as some of these criminal organizations. So I think, this designation, as far as them being a terrorist organization, I think is fitting, and it's something that I've been saying for years. I was called crazy when I said that on Joe Rogan for the first time when I was on there, and here we are. I had a lot of training from Americans when I was active, and a lot of them were coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq, and I would hear the stories of how some of the organizations that later morphed into ISIS would do their, how they would grow and how they would basically terrorize people. And I was like, yeah, it looks like they've been looking at a lot of cartel videos, because that's what inspired some of those torture and murder videos that ISIS did.